The IMO is out. The only way to purchase it is electronically, as electronic commerce is witnessing the biggest development in the MENA region. With less time to spend shopping and a rising demand, outlets are more and more going online and paying attention to cutover experience. To understand more how new technology tools have been pushing this in the Arab world, from e-commerce to mobile, social, and more recently even Facebook commerce, I would like to ask Ralph Wenzel, Iyad Kamal, Mohammed Shbib, Mo Ghashim, Noor Al-Fayez, and Molly Bernstein to come on stage for the session moderated by Zaid Nasser. Is with us now. He is the founder and CEO of Mediascope Group and a writer on digital media in several regional magazines. Hello. And a regular speaker at regional conferences.
Hi, Alia, thank you. I'll introduce them.
All right.
I just want to make sure my mic
we
is
had
working.
more speakers. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Ahlan wa sahlan. Hello, how are you, Molly? Hello. So where are the rest of our panelists? Where is Iyad Kamal? Where is Fuad? Ah, there you go. Fuad, you get the hot seat here.
Zaid, bring your mic closer to your mouth and speak clearly into it, please.
Closer, like so?
So we can hear you all the way back here. Project.
Can you hear me now? Is this better? And I actually prefer a hand mic.
There you go.
Okay. So where is Mr. Iyad Kamal and where is Noor? I think they were told that we were running half an hour late, so they took it literally. Anyway, طيب عشان ما نأخركم. Apparently there's another hot seat.
Do you want us to scoot over?
خلاص, this is good. Yeah. Let's put these here. Is this working? Do you prefer to use this?
I don't mind.
Yeah. Everything, please test.
Test.
كله testing? Good. All right. طيب. Okay, good morning everyone. Should I start without the rest of my panelists? Yes? بدنا نخلص. Well, let's see. All right.
There's Iyad.
Yeah. Okay. يلا إياد. أنت بعدين يعني أنا بتزبطش بدونك. We need our logistics specialist.
I thought they're in time.
إياد شو رأيك تقعد هون؟ تعال أجيبك عندي عشان أستعين في مساعدتك. Okay, now we just need Noor. Mo? Is there a microphone we can call people? Mo Ghashim?
Tell one of the ushers maybe.
Tell him it's an opportunity to market Shop Go. He'll come running. Yalla. Anyway. Okie dokie.
Zaid, who do you want called from outside?
Muhammad Ghashim?
Mo Ghashim. He's outside.
Mo Ghashim.
Okay.
And Noor Fayez.
Right.
It's because they were told we're running 40 minutes late. أبلش? Okay. حاضر مروان. معالي has spoken. خم بلش. Okay, so as Alia told you, I run a company called Mediascope. It's an events, publishing, and digital media company. I started longer than I want to mention. And today we have an e-commerce panel. This is an exciting topic, obviously. Today the panel will be structured. I'll tell you what the panel structure is so that you don't run away in the middle of it. We have a program for this thing. We're going to, of course, I'm going to introduce my panelists first, and thereby give Mo a chance to come running. And then we're going to we're going to have 4 discussion tracks. We're going to discuss 4 main topics in e-commerce. Every one of my panelists will give will have their opportunity to give their full opinion about it. Then we're going to do a quick Q&A. So anybody has a question, just prepare that hot question. Any one of the panelists can take that question. Even if it's directed at one of them, the other can jump in. We just want to feel free to jump in if we need to. And finally, I'll ask them to give us advice, general advice. They're all specialists. They're all top specialists in their fields. So I'll start by introducing my panelists. First of all, to my left here is Iyad Kamal. Iyad is the Chief Operating Officer, COO of Aramex International. We all know Aramex, the logistics leader in the region and one of the logistics leaders in the world. He joined Aramex in 1991 and he grew in the company, reaching the COO position, but many of his roles were in the logistics field. Vice President Logistics, Ground Services, General Manager Logistics, Express Product, Quality Manager, Chief Logistics Officer before becoming COO. So he's the guy to talk to about how we're going to do the delivery thing. And if you have delivery problems, he's the guy to talk to also. Sorry about that, Ian. Then we have a gentleman here beside me who is, to me, a recent addition to the panel because I don't have the full profile, but I know him very well. This is Fuad Isma. You're going to have to help me with your profile. Why don't you jump in with the profile? Fuad Jurius, he will give you like a three-liner. Tafadal, Fuad.
Very easy. I'm the co-founder of cashbasha.com. Cashbasha today is a business that serves Amazon into the region. As we all know, there are problems with actually making purchases from foreign e-commerce sites. Today, we handle cash payments for sites that actually don't accept cash, like Amazon. Number two, we also, with our partners, Alamex, handle logistics into actually getting products from e-commerce sites that actually don't serve the region completely. And third, we actually have solved problems with actually estimating customs. We have a customs estimation algorithm that basically solves that and brings the products right to your door, so you don't have to worry about that.
So that's a brief on Cash Basha. Fuad is also a tech entrepreneur, one of the founders of Tech Tuesday. Sure. He's an active man in the scene, in the digital and e-commerce scene. Next up is Molly Bernstein. Molly is the B2B account manager of Jamalon. Jamalon is a brand that many of us know. It's today considered the largest online bookstore in the Middle East. She's responsible for international cooperation and expansion into US and European markets, which is something we should be all very proud of. If a product like Jamalon is going to be selling globally, that's very important. She manages Jamalon relations with major retailers and e-commerce companies across the world, including Amazon, WH Smith, Virgin Media Stores, and others. So there are traditional, we have e-tailers, retailers who are going electronic, and we have people like Amazon who you're also dealing with, so that will be valuable in our conversation. Then we have, sorry, I just want to get your profile first before I start reading, Muhammad. We have Muhammad Shabib, founder of Citra Style. Citra Style is his latest venture, but Muhammad has a long history of ventures also. He's the founder and CEO of several successful online businesses in Europe and the Middle East. Muhammad has first-hand knowledge in international e-commerce. He set up a B2B online marketplace in Munich. Then from 2004 to 2011, he was with McKinsey and Company, so he has the consulting background to help us out also. And then he took the entrepreneurial plunge with Sukkar. A lot of you know Sukkar, right? I think Sukkar was acquired by Souq, Sukkar.com. In record time, actually. You started 2011 with Sukkar, you got acquired very quickly. And now he has Citra Style, which is under Disado.com. It's Disado, okay. Citra, by the way, from the word setter, I guess. Okay, because it's an Islamic wear clothing company. And Mo Hashim. Kifak Mo? Nice to have you with us. So, Mo is the CEO of ShopGo. He's the first one to order the latest gadget. This is a very colorful profile, Mo. Yeah. Okay. His passion and hunger carry through to his work. He's moved to Jordan for ShopGo with Oasis 500. It's nice that Oasis 500 has a lot of non-Jordanians. I think 20% of people in Oasis 500 are Jordanians, which is something we should be very proud of. He has a dedicated team. Today ShopGo is the dominant e-commerce solution in the MENA region. It's a platform. It's basically an e-commerce platform. Right. And he has a team of 20 people, and he's currently on a Series A funding. Finally, one last thing. I think Noor is with us. Is Noor here? Noor, raise your hand. She's not. I start without her. I have a seat. I can stand here. No, Noor? Khalas. Yalla. Nimshi. That's a pity. Noor is with Fiche.com, which is a website that sells music instruments in the Arab world. She's also a singer. Okay. So, briefly, they say e-commerce in the Arab world is going to hit, in the MENA region, is going to hit 15 billion next year. There are many studies. I wish somebody would come up with a definitive study. Maybe the Ipsos guys can help in the future, or the Arab Advisors guys can help. Because whenever you want to study e-commerce in the Arab world, it's like a melange of different data, isn't it? So they say that we're going to hit 15 billion in 2015. 5 billion of those will be on mobile, which is amazing, which means that 1/3 of the money is going to come from mobile next year. And in countries like Saudi Arabia, there are already over 3 million people buying online. 3 million people are estimated to have bought a product or a service online in a country like Saudi Arabia. And of course, as you know, Saudi Arabia is leading the region in these aspects, but it's an indicator for everything that's about to come. So, with no further ado, I'm going to start asking the first big question. In a region, in a region with over 110 million internet users or more, again, depending on the study you read, okay, over 110 million users, What do you think are the, what is the status quo that we have in terms of explosive growth? You know, the panel name is Exploding E-commerce. It's a bit scary in a region to use the word exploding in the name of a panel, but so tell us about the explosion that you're witnessing on your side of the business.
Yeah, so
if you're not comfortable, you can use this. No, it's not working. Use that.
well, yeah, what I'm going to be talking about basically is related to logistics and from the analysis that we do on our business itself. So is there explosive growth? It depends how you define explosive. Is there nice and a good amount of business growth? There is. But explosive, just to give you a fact, I was reading some numbers yesterday preparing for this event. It is estimated by 2018, okay, by Morgan Stanley reference, China and the US contribute the majority of growth, even as other emerging markets grow at a fast pace. So the pace is fast. However, forecasted to generate $1.1 trillion of online sales in 2018. This is between the US and China. So if you take 1.1 trillion and the 50 billion that you're talking about,
we're 1.5%.
It's a very small percentage. However, the pace is fast. So the numbers that we look at in terms of shipments that we handle every single year on behalf of retailers in the region.
People like Souk and traditional retailers.
Souk, Marca,
VIP.
The whole e-tail market. We do a lot of the majority.
Citrus Style.
Citrus.
Jamalon.
the whole team.
Yeah.
And what we handle internationally. There's a lot of international business coming into this region, and I'll talk about that in a second. So we're talking about, yes, there's a very nice growth there. One of the things that we're seeing, a lot of people talk about the COD stuff. COD is it. Today, 80% of business.
COD, for everyone, COD is cash on delivery.
Cash on. So basically, we deliver a package to the consignee, and we collect the cost of the goods and the shipping on behalf of the retailer. So I would deliver on behalf of Jamalon. He says, can you deliver on COD basis? We deliver, collect whatever amount, and we credit the amount back to
There's a big
Jamalon.
COD business going on in the region.
COD is 80% of the business.
80%.
So whoever wants to establish an e-commerce
business.
business.
So these are some interesting stats coming out of our panel. 80% of the business, for all the people who want to tweet.
Exactly.
Okay?
So you have, whoever wants to establish an e-commerce business, you have to offer a COD business, a COD option. The largest market, Saudi, is the #1 market in the region in terms of e-commerce.
In terms of size or in terms of per person?
Everything. In terms of size. In terms of order, let me talk about size first. So Saudi Arabia is the largest market, then you have the UAE, then you have Egypt. So, but there's a difference. So Saudi and the Emirates look similar to each other. There's a lot of international going into, or regional shipments going into those two countries. However, in Egypt, the majority of the e-commerce that is happening is within Egypt. So you'll have a huge market domestically within the Egyptian, within Egypt. You have on order values differs. So you probably, if you come and ask me how much is the order value that people buy today for e-commerce, you're talking about the range of $75 to probably $90.
That's pretty good.
And it differs, however, it differs between country. So automatically, from my numbers and what the research I do, and from the numbers that I always look at, it is more or less related to the per capita per country. So if we look at Qatar, for example, Qatar will have the highest order value.
That's natural. Qataris would spend more than the average
high per capita. Then you'll have the UAE, you'll have Saudi Arabia. Another very important factor that affects this number is also related to customs.
Okay.
So if you look at customs and duties, so in the GCC area, as you're probably aware, it's a 5% customs duty. So on a shipment of value $300 and above, you pay 5% of the value of duties. Anything below that, you don't pay.
So yeah, you're kind of jumping into one of the other questions, which is the platforms and the challenges. But what you're saying, I'll give you now a chance to summarize it in a couple of lines. You're saying that it is strong growth, but compared to the rest of the world, it's still just beginning.
Percentage-wise,
still small.
Percentage-wise growth, it's very impressive.
As a percentage of the population.
Of the global e-commerce trade, we're still
but
small.
That's normal.
But that is normal.
We are talking about the US.
You're talking about US and China. Yes, by the way, I don't know if you're aware, the white Sunday was in China, which was the 11th
Black Monday in the US.
It's like the Black Monday in the US. Alibaba sold 8 billion worth of goods on one day. 8 billion. So that's
mostly to China, mostly sold
domestic
to China.
mostly.
Mostly
So just to give you a feel of how big e-commerce is.
Yeah, e-commerce is not the future, it's already the present. E-commerce is already here, you know, and we're all using it. Thanks, Iyad. You will have a chance to show us more of that interesting information when you jump into the other parts of the conversation. So Fuad, you're also on the cash and payment side of this business, and you're seeing growth. And you although you're a startup, that's just you've only started recently, but you've also had a bit of experience with the payments going on in the region. Don't tell us now about the platform. Tell us about the growth that we can see in e-commerce sales and online sales.
So looking at the numbers, obviously I'm very skeptical a little bit, much like you are, about the whole $15 billion in the region by 2015, which is the number that people are throwing around a lot. I don't know if we can actually verify that. I'm sure Aramex has more numbers around that and more accurate numbers. But what we see, at least, is that half of that activity all goes towards ticketing and sales. These are airline tickets, hotels, all that stuff. So this is not really retail e-commerce per se.
But it counts, though, in the total calculation, doesn't it?
It does. But
you think it skews the calculation?
More interesting, my point here is that if you look at the other half, which is retail e-commerce, talking about the markets, the Souq.com,
not big enough yet.
All these guys, they all accumulate to about 1.5 billion of the remaining amount.
What?
Where's
10%?
Yes, just about. This is according to my estimations. If you add all of the revenues together, of all these companies.
Who books their air tickets or their hotel online here? Almost everyone, see? It's amazing. So there's like over half the people. So that explains it.
Ask those same people who bought online in the last 2 months.
Okay, who bought something online in the last 2 months? Like
these are retail items.
Okay. All right,
clothing,
so it's 1/3.
Electronics.
But you know, Fuad, this is a tech crowd. These are techies. So.
Of course. We're looking at the majority of the population. But people
it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing.
Yeah, but my point being that activity coming from within the region is still extremely small. You're talking about 1.5 billion as a whole. The remainder actually is coming from foreign e-commerce sites. We're talking about the Amazons, the eBays. People are looking for these big name brands and they want to buy off of these retail sites
because
that have unique products. Not only there's trust, but they have unique products. And they want to buy these products that aren't available locally. People buy things online for one of two reasons. Either it's a price differentiation, and buying things all the way from the States is usually more expensive. So what remains is the unique product differentiation. And that's what we're trying to do at Cash Basha. What we also do on the payment side, just to hit on that, is that we've created an alternative system to cash on delivery. As you all know, probably cash on delivery accounts for around 20 to 30% of failed orders in the region to some of these merchants.
But it's about 80% of all orders.
Exactly. Okay. Yet, so people want to pay cash. However, how do we protect the merchants from these people who are placing orders on their sites against a pledge that will actually pay for the order when it arrives at their door? That fails around 20 to 30% of the time, according to our
What is a failure, Yani?
A failure would be...
You get the product delivered, you don't like it?
That's one reason. One other thing is that at the door, you just say, you know what, I changed my mind.
Molly, does that happen to you guys? People change their mind?
We do have that, and that's definitely one of the major challenges.
So what we've done is that we've built a real-time cash collection network between convenience stores around Jordan today. You can go into any snack store and pay for your order there, so that's very convenient for people. The alternative is that you can actually request for someone to come to your doorstep within 24 hours, pay him, and in real time your order will be confirmed to the merchant. That would be in the States, and he would ship the order against that collection that happens. And the reconciliation happens afterwards. So we've protected the merchant from these failures. We've brought only in serious consumers. And whether returns happen or not, that's something that the actual company can deal with. So with Cash Basha and Amazon, we're doing that as well, and that's how we're trying to combat the payment problem.
So clearly, the first two topics I want to talk about are being mixed together, so they'll save us actually time. So we'll just move on quickly into solving the problems. Thank you, Fuad, for suggesting that solution. So Molly, tell us from where you stand. You guys are selling, you're like an Amazon competitor, sort of, in the region, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're selling books, you're selling videos, you're selling... tell us a bit more about the Jamalon experience of sales growth since the company started, how it's jumped in sales, and what is it selling, and where is it selling it?
Absolutely.
Who's buying?
So we've talked a lot about disruption in the past 2 days, and I think something that Jamalon has been able to do is disrupt the printed book system in the region by being kind of a middleman between publishers and customers. So in that way, we're able to provide books at a much lower cost than you'll find them in a lot of bookstores here in the region. And at the same time, another thing we try to focus on is speed of delivery. Someone goes to a bookstore so that they can have the book immediately and bring it home and read it. So we try to get as close as we can to that experience so that we both have low costs and speed of delivery. I think something that The latest numbers have shown that the printed book market in the MENA region today is approximately $2.1 billion.
This is the total printed book market?
Yes,
including,
in the region.
Including store sales?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the printed book region in general.
It is not a very good reading market, isn't it, the MENA region?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of criticisms that Jamalon gets in the market in general is that people are moving away from printed books, and we're going to move towards ebooks, and we're going to be reading more.
Is it really happening though?
Online? Well, it's interesting. Amazon actually projected, I think, last year that sales would go down in the United States, but it in fact grew 5% last year.
The ebooks?
No, printed books in the United States, and we're actually seeing something that's very exciting about Jamalon is the demand. I think the problem that we're seeing is not that there's a lack of demand for printed books, but that there's actually a lack of access. And that's where Jamalon comes in to be able to sort of solve that issue, disrupt a system that is largely broken.
Do you sell ebooks on Jamalon?
That is in our future. We still are only focused on printed books. And we do that now online through the website, and my responsibility is also to offer those books to businesses.
What about the growth in sales that you've seen?
So we've
Where's
seen,
it coming from? Which markets? Which countries?
So almost half of our sales actually are from Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
We also have a lot within Jordan and Kuwait, Bahrain, and the Emirates.
Good numbers in Jordan because you're here.
Absolutely. And this is our major office. But we do have an office in Dubai and operations out of Lebanon, which is where we source a lot of our books. Something that's been very exciting in my time at Jamalon is that we've been able to see the same excitement and demand we've seen here in the US market specifically. Europe is sort of in our future. We're starting there as well. Arabic language is one of the, if not the fastest growing foreign language studied in the United States.
Really?
And so people are very excited about this idea of having access to books
Arabic
in Arabic.
Books. So you're
Exactly.
going to be selling to Arab expats, let's say, or to Arab Americans and Arab Europeans. And
That's definitely a part of the market, but maybe another very major part of the market is Americans that are learning Arabic and need the tools to do that there, and also once they get to a certain level, the ability to sort of grow that field of study in the United States. So that's something that we've already had major orders from US universities. And Amazon is not, you can search for books in Arabic on Amazon, but they don't really have the infrastructure yet.
Why is that? I mean, Amazon is the big
language.
player, and one day they'll just decide to do Arabic right, and then it'll hurt everybody who's trying to sell books in the region.
Well, it's interesting. That was sort of a development we had been expecting. You can now search for books in Arabic, which is a sort of recent development on Amazon. But there are a lot of problems that happen. You can't upload certain things, for example, because the right to left script isn't compatible. And there are several other issues where Jamalon certainly has the edge. And the more time we have, and the more brand awareness we have, which is growing, the more that edge, I think, becomes more significant.
We are very proud of Jamalon because it started with one entrepreneur and a small idea, you know. And it's based in Jordan, and so it's nice that this is the leader in the Arab world in that field. Okay,
Absolutely.
so from where you stand, there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of growth, and a lot of it is
growth.
coming from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, Muhammad, you tell us a little bit about that. From your perspective, you're selling clothing items online, and you used to have other stuff with the Sukkar days. So you've been in the fashion field, and tell us about if there is explosive growth going on in the fashion field and e-commerce, and give us some numbers if you have some numbers you'd like to share, and tell us a little bit about the niches that you're addressing now.
I think the first number I'd like to pick on is what Iyad said. 3 million Saudis, you said, are ordering online.
Over 3 million.
Over 3 million.
These are studies I read.
Said. That leaves about 25 to 27 not ordering online.
Yeah.
I think this is where the growth will come from at one point.
It's the difference between 3 million and 25 million.
Yeah, and what we look at every day is what are the enablers of this growth and what is really hindering us from growing further. And I think one of the issues is
delivery.
Cash on delivery system, which counts for 80% of transactions.
Stuff like the ShopGo platform.
Yes, there is technology platforms, there is payment methods. Innovation in the cash on delivery cycle, I think, has been stagnating until we hear now what's being done. And I think that is extremely important.
That's a major problem.
A lot of my colleagues in the scene say, you know what, cash on delivery kills e-commerce. My opinion towards that is it doesn't. You need to offer what customers want in terms of payment, in terms of delivery, and you need to optimize it for the customer, not for yourself. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, you need to become profitable at one point, and that's what you need to optimize for, but you need to offer to customers what they want.
At Citra Style, what you're selling at Citra Style, can somebody open my wave, please? Don't worry. I like to jump in all the time. keep it open. At Citra Style, you've seen a lot of people who want to buy traditional Arabic wear going online. This is like a trend.
Citra Style, I need maybe to give you an overview of our numbers. 90% of our sale, and we started January this year, 90% of our sales come from Europe and the US and Canada. 10% roughly from the Middle East.
Why is that?
Because we didn't market in the Middle East.
I see. You're based in Europe anyway, aren't you?
We're based in Dubai, but we're opening shop in Berlin beginning.
Well, I mean, maybe the style of the clothing on the site is more suited for the European Muslim.
We basically design Zara and H&M clothes, longer, wider, and much more appropriate for Muslim women that believe in that. No, the reason why we've done that is we looked at the fashion scene, and based on experience, the only way to compete in fashion in the Middle East is through price.
Price.
That's the only
Unfortunately,
way.
It's a very price sensitive. Isn't this the case in Europe and the US also, price in clothing? No?
To a certain level, yes.
So this is an impediment to commerce, e-commerce, was that people were not getting the price right. When you get the price right with e-commerce, e-commerce will grow.
But that's the infrastructural issue in the Middle East. Okay. E-commerce businesses win on procurement, on the procurement side and on the efficiency in operations, right?
Okay.
And on the procurement side, you're forced to import from outside because you don't get it from the agents that are here in the region. You would never have one of those guys having a shop that is operated for a couple of $1 million annual rent in Dubai Mall give you their stock. So you are obliged to import the goods. You have customs, you have air freight, etc.
You have to bring it in directly. You can't depend on a local retailer to work with you.
So if you don't have local corporations, it becomes very difficult, and this is why people...
so you made an interesting point that Iyad is taking a note of it.
Ian and I always share notes. Yes. No, this is why we have decided to create our own brand rather than importing. We control the cost, we control the entire value chain. We produce ourselves from the design stage, the sketching stage, till the distribution.
This is interesting because this is the management experience of a seasoned entrepreneur, which makes e-commerce successful. The problem with e-commerce in the Arab world is a lot of startups, a lot of young people starting something small, and the team has to actually encompass many skills, not just one or two skills, you know. And this is something we'll talk about in our next point of conversation. But first, we'll go to Mohammed. Moghashim, tell us a little bit about how ShopGo became big because of trying to address this problem, you know. And tell us about the growth you've seen and what does it mean? What does all this growth mean?
I don't think we're big yet. We're still in the process to grow and serve the region. But what I see as an opportunity and what's happening in e-commerce in the region, if I refer to Fuad and Iyad, there is a lot of shopping happening from inside the region through Amazon, eBay,
they're
and
buying
other
from
websites.
American companies or based in the US.
But if you want to look at it from our perspective and how we see things in the region, that means there's not enough competition and there's not enough website.
Branding, maybe, you know. I mean, everybody's heard the Amazon brand. The Amazon brand is still getting there.
I wouldn't say branding, but there are not a lot of options where you can go and buy from within the region.
I see.
That's where we want to come in and help people within a few $1,000s to build an online store and go live where they can start offering their products.
How many stores have you served so far?
We're around 200 now.
200 stores
across the Middle East.
That's impressive for a region like the MENA region.
On the other hand, what we saw that it's important for us to contribute and help. When you want to start an online store, there's a lot beyond what you see in the page. You have to learn more about logistics. You need to know how e-commerce work within Aramex's world, because offline is not really
There's
similar
a bit of
to
consulting
online.
going on. You have to consult. You have to give these people advice.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to do. If you go, for example, on Jamalon or Amazon and try to search e-commerce MENA on Amazon, you will find zero resources. There's no one single book tell you how to run an online.
How to sell in the Middle East.
Exactly. You don't understand. So we're seeing a lot of demand. We are seeing startups, small businesses trying to go and offer their services online, but they don't understand how the dynamics work in terms of shipping, payments, how does it work in Jordan.
It's an awareness problem, Hamad. It's an awareness and maturity problem, isn't it?
Exactly. That's where we come together as service providers. So we work with Aramex closely to help people to overcome these issues and to understand more about logistics. Then we work with payment gateways to help people and provide articles and documentation where you can understand what are the percentages that payment processor will take. If you want to start, if you're in Jordan and you want to target UAE, doesn't mean you automatically start offering your services to UAE, which is not the case. You have to understand what are the options within UAE in terms of payment and shipping as well.
Yeah, in terms
that's
of
where we come and try to
payment
solve
and delivery and logistics.
So 3 things where we see the challenge: payment, shipping, and the workforce, the understanding of e-commerce. If you grow, let's say Jamalon are growing, or Fisha are growing, or even Citrus are going, where can you bring in people where they understand and they can work on your online store tomorrow?
This is the problem. It's a skill set problem, isn't it?
Exactly. That's where what I think service providers can help in enabling and offering more knowledge and services to the region.
Noor, thanks for joining. Noor, by the way, because I did not introduce her fully.
Sorry, I came late.
That's okay, it's okay. I told you that we were running 40 minutes late. It turned out that we were running only half an hour late. So, Noor runs the first e-commerce website for musical instruments in the MENA region, targeting Arab speakers. It's a one-stop shop for Arab musicians. She does a lot at the company. She handles SEO, branding, UX, digital marketing, the typical entrepreneur. So, tell us a little bit about the growth.
Hats.
Well, that's okay. Tell us a little bit about the growth that you think will happen, or that you've seen in the MENA region in hobbyist items like this, or in very niche items. This is people buying musical instruments, and some of them are old collectibles, right? So tell us a bit about that niche.
Well, from our experience, basically, if you're offering something that is not really available online, so no one would think that starting an online business for musical instrument is a very something popular.
I'm sure your family asked you how you're going to make money.
Yeah, I used to be an architect before that. So
you quit architecture for this?
Yeah, I left that and started with Fisha. So the thing is, it's a niche market, but the great thing is there's no competition online.
I see.
And that's where we come in, and we offer a variety of instruments, from beginner instruments to intermediate and professional. And we personally were surprised that in the early stages of the business, we didn't pay a lot on paid advertising, and our sales were mainly organic, but yet we saw 100% growth year to year in Jordan.
Which markets were responding very well?
We started in Jordan, so we proved the market in Jordan, and we recently expanded to the UAE.
The UAE.
And we're getting a lot of requests from the Gulf region beyond Dubai, basically. And so now we're operating in Dubai, and we're looking into expanding to Saudi very soon.
I see.
So
everybody's trying to operate properly in the UAE and deliver to Saudi, and from Jordan or from Lebanon or from Egypt or from one of these entrepreneurial hubs to be an issue for all entrepreneurs, doesn't it? So Noor, just to ask you just a quick follow-up question before we move on to the skills conversation. You're saying that Arabs online, they search for this kind of, for all kinds of niches. It's not the Europeans and the Americans who are only geeks in music or geeks in film. Everybody's looking for something. And tell me about where you get your most inquiries from. Most inquiries, even if you can't deliver these inquiries. Which market?
Well, we sold to Petra from Jordan. We got orders from Irbid, from Salt, from outside of Amman.
Outside
this is just in Jordan.
There's a lot of talented musicians outside the capital.
Because there is no one giving them that service.
Yes, I see.
You can imagine that those guys, if they don't have a shop in their city, they have to travel from. Even in Dubai, for example, you would find.
The shop problem.
Yeah, you would find people coming from different countries in the region just to shop from Dubai, and we're offering that. I mean, we're getting requests from Saudi, we're getting requests from even outside the Middle East, to be honest, from Brazil, Italy, for Oriental instruments. So we're offering a service that no one thought it would be like.
That's the beauty of e-commerce. You can sell something online that you don't think you can open a shop for, but then your shop is open in 24, 22, I don't know the count anymore with all the Arab Spring going on. So I think it's 22, 23 Arab countries. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move on to the skill set conversation. Who would like to say, we don't have to go through all of you for it, who would like to say something about the level of skills in the region in e-commerce from actually managing a team, Go ahead.
Maybe I can, probably all of us have international experience to some extent.
Compare it to Europe, for example, the skills there.
I've ran businesses in Europe, and I've done a lot of consulting with companies in Europe.
Yeah, with McKinsey.
And the single biggest issue next to capital in the Middle East is skills. Is the skill set.
This is the big problem. This is the big one, isn't it?
And I think this issue is more fundamental than finding the right talent.
What are the skills we need in e-commerce?
The biggest, just before, I think we have an infrastructural problem in the way we educate our youth.
It's an educational issue.
And I can say that now because I have gray hair, so I'm not youth anymore. Universities, if you look at universities here, you have excellent technical universities, for example, in Jordan. You get engineers that are really on a global level extremely well
capable
right?
engineers.
Capable, right? But what you fail to educate people on is building personality. What you fail to educate people on is stay grounded. I get applications from university graduates, just graduated, and they're like, I'm applying for the job of manager, blah, 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 blah.
So there's an attitude issue here. Why isn't there like a clear
attitude issue? I would call it mindset issue.
Isn't there like a clear career path in engineering and in
I think it's in the nature of Middle Eastern people, we are not patient.
We're not patient,
period.
exactly.
Right?
It's true.
Now, when I get young people in, and this is what I commit to these people that join my companies, whatever company it is, that when they come in and the point they exit the company, if they exit or in the course of 2-3 years, I commit personally to develop them.
I see.
And the development on the technical part is nothing I care about because
microphone is شغال. Wallahi, please, his mic is not working. Why don't you give me the hand? Please turn on this hand. This is also hanging around. هذا بضوي هيك من
I
هون.
can come closer. Is that better?
If you go close, yeah. Just do this. Speak like so.
Yeah. One. I think this should be better.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I'm saying is I don't care about the technical skills.
طيب افتحوا لي هاد بليز. يلا يجيني حدا ركض يفتح لي هاد بليز. لأنه أنا مش عارف أفتحه يعني كبست كل الأزرار. No problem. Okay, so we can so I'm going to just wrap up your point so we can. Okay. Yeah. تفضل.
So technical skills are easy to learn.
Okay.
The managerial skills or the personality skills is something that takes a while and it
so
takes good
you made
leadership.
your point about the personality. Should tell me more about the other skills needed other than the engineering skills, like marketing, like.
In terms of e-commerce, the most important thing is to be data-driven.
Data-driven.
Data-driven. A lot of times I get from people that I hired here from the Middle East when I ask a question, how does this sell? Very simple question. The answer usually starts with, I think it's, and then I interrupt right away and I say, I think I haven't found in my dictionary. In my business dictionary, I didn't find the word I think.
People should be number crunchers.
It's I
in the
know
e-commerce
or
world,
I don't know. If you don't know, then you do your analytics, you come up with a result, you interpret the result, you recommend something. Yeah. I think or gut feeling is good on a decision level after you have the fact. Yeah. Before you have the fact, you should shut up.
Thanks. And what do you think of that, Molly? Thanks, Mohammed.
You know, I think something that's very interesting in these small companies is that e-commerce, or I know in Jamalon and other similar companies, the idea of e-commerce and having these startups is fairly new to the region. So it's not just about the skills.
You're from
of
outside the
marketing.
region. You came here.
Right.
You can give us a bit of a perspective on that.
Right. And I'm American, and I was educated there and came here a year and a half ago. And in my experience, I think something that's really fascinating, specifically in Jordan, but I think in the region more generally as well, is that there's an ecosystem that's building, and it's very important for those that have sort of been built up by the ecosystem to then reinvest in that. And that's in training the people that are interested in those companies, both within the companies and across companies.
What do you mean by reinvest? You mean people who go through the ecosystem and start companies,
resources
then what happens?
And time.
They
I think
time.
it's and time and mentoring.
They need more time, which means they need a bit more money, though.
Absolutely. We have something at Jamalon where if anyone comes, they spend a month, a little less than a month, just speaking with everyone in the company, learning how operations works, learning how we're able to serve our customers and why this specifically, why do we not do this? Because you have to learn about, everyone's new to the market, whether you're coming from the US.
This is your contribution to the skills shortage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very important that we not only look inside each company in isolation, but across them as well, because the more companies use each other, it really helps to build that.
What do you think of that, Fuad, generally?
Generally speaking, I mean, when you look at the region and what's happening in e-commerce, I think a lot of people become aware about the intricacies of data and how to utilize that data. My background has been in data. I've done some work there as well. But what you see is that there are a lot of mom and pop shops, these brick and mortar stores that are coming online today through either Facebook. Surprisingly, I mean, I always say that many people think that Facebook is the internet in Jordan, in the region for many.
There's a running joke made by Abu Mario.
So you'll find out that a lot of people, would go to Facebook and put up a Facebook page and start selling the products that they have in their stores.
They're selling on Facebook. So they're utilizing Facebook data.
Exactly, but they really have no idea what their cost per acquisition is.
Yeah.
All these real things that can actually, explode the business growth.
How are we going to teach people that, Fuad? Should we have like an e-commerce academy or something?
That's one way of doing it, but I think competition is the best way to make people aware of these things. One of these players on Facebook, for example, if we're taking that as a certain segment, will be able to find out that there are other ways for them to market themselves and other ways to utilize the data that they have, and they will have exponential growth, and other people will just get jealous.
They just need to realize it. Mo, what do you think?
So what I think in terms of skills,
Yes.
I think there's an opportunity. If we're talking in Jordan, since Jordanians are very much familiar with technology, but if you want to look at online stores, the more you learn about data, as Muhammad mentioned, if your e-commerce is data-driven rather than normal offline
Users,
sales, it's
acquisition,
communication-driven.
performance.
But that's the point. When I want to grow my online store and I hire someone who understands analytics, understands AdWords, then he understands how to work with multiple platforms in terms of import and export. That will help me to grow my business.
Do you find these people more in the market?
We're working on that. We don't.
You have to develop them internally, huh?
Yeah,
okay. But that's okay.
For us,
they have to learn.
We're starting sort of an e-commerce academy soon to help the young generation. So it's a pain we're seeing with our clients. We're seeing clients like Fisha, for example, wants to grow to UAE and they want to hire. They can't keep moving people between the two countries.
Yeah.
So we saw an opportunity.
You're going to have to basically, within ShopGo, you're going to have to train people.
We're going to produce content for the market to learn about e-commerce and start.
I have a venture plan in that field also. So we'll have a chat, you and I.
Yeah.
Noor, tell me something now. I'm going to move on to our next topic, which is mobile. Maybe you can come a bit closer with your chair. Yeah. That's it. Okay. So mobile is big. We said that about one third of transactions are going to be through mobile next year, maybe even more because it's growing exponentially. What are you doing for mobile, or how are you preparing yourself for the mobile future? And what do you think of mobile as a future in the
well, as a ShopGo customer, we have a responsive mobile website and tablet.
That's the key thing, isn't it? That's the key thing.
It's responsive. However, you still have to optimize beyond having a responsive mobile and tablet. And I mean, for us, we had to study the return on investment. If we want to focus on just optimizing that at this stage, it didn't make sense for us at this stage. Because
so music shoppers are still not using mobile as much as they would.
The numbers are not that significant for us now. But definitely for next year, we're working on that, because even though if the conversions on mobile are not high, you cannot actually underestimate the process, the funnel that people would come from multiple devices before actually.
They're going to be finding you on this, you know, and then they want to buy on this. So.
Exactly. No, they can find you on mobile, then come again on tablet, and then place the order on the desktop.
I see.
So until
But that's okay. That's a funnel, you know. They like it on tablet, then they buy on desktop. That's okay. You know?
It's okay, but it's not very easy to get to that specific funnel, you know.
Mo, what do you think of mobile?
I want to comment here. If you want to combine mobile with skills, if you have a team who understands the funnel and the journey of the client, mobile could become in the recognition and consideration stage. Then the actual conversion might happen on the tablet and the desktop.
Is this what you're seeing in the Arab world?
Yes, it is.
Arabs like to search on mobile and tablet, then they actually like to buy on desktop.
Definitely.
Why is that, Mo?
For
psychology,
maybe you need time to decide, or you need to consider other option, or where you want to use your credit card, you want to use your desktop, or you want to ask someone else. But the whole point, if you get the team who understand data, I will come to the decision maker and tell him, this is what's happening in e-commerce. If we focus on mobile, however, it's not converting directly right now, it will help you and the decision maker to move forward with your online store, rather than to say we're not seeing a lot of data.
Iyad, what do you think of the mobile revolution and how it will affect the business of delivery and logistics?
Yeah,
or your personal opinion on mobile and tablet? مش هذا مش واضح?
Yeah, it's okay. Before I answer that, Before I answer that, I just want to talk about 1 minute about the skill set.
The skill set. Go ahead.
Just if you mind, because I've been at Aramex for many years, and I agree 100% with what Muhammad said about the education level. When we have a lot of industrial engineers who work with Aramex, so we recruit. I probably recruited in the hundreds of industrial engineers. When we used to get 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we used to go out and ask for applicants to apply for Aramex, industrial engineers specific. We used to get, let's say, 10. I got, but higher, which one? They're all perfect. And even one of them would not be that good. Today,
you got like 200.
And 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, today I but higher to find one good one.
Why is that? They're all in the Gulf?
Because the education system, the education system, unfortunately,
has gone downwards.
Needs work. Okay, this is a whole discussion on its own, but I think that's a huge.
نعمل panel عن education يا وجيه.
Secondly, I think when it comes to e-commerce, again, one of the panelists said about people ما لهم جلادة. Okay, people come into companies, want to work for 2-3 years and go somewhere else. ليه يا أخي, you can build a career in this company. They don't have the mentality. I've been with Aramex for 24 years. That's the only job I work.
You're a dying breed, yeah.
Fine, but there's a lot of people like me in the organization, by the way. So people, this is old mentality, old thought, and new mentality. People just want to keep on jumping. Another third thing, which is very important, people think, this is from my.
But let's go back to e-commerce a bit more after you make
e-commerce. People think that if you want to go and they want to establish a startup in e-commerce, they're going to become millionaires in 2 to 3 years.
Because they read these stories.
But it's all, which is also something very important to say, is that today, the only time where valuation of companies happen on a multiple of revenues in the e-commerce industry. Okay, come and evaluate any other company that it's a multiple profit. Allahu Akbar, بس لما يجي لل-e-commerce, it's a multiple of revenue. The company will be losing money forever. And then you have a company that comes and acquires them for about 2 times multiple
just because
revenue.
He's selling a lot.
So there's a whole shift here, and unfortunately, people just want to jump on, get off and move on. Technology and mobile.
Mobile.
For us, our industry, it's very important. Our couriers have scanners, mobile scanners with them. Every courier in the Aramex driver has a scanner, because you have to be able to upload information instantly. So when I deliver a package for Muhammad, I need to make sure that I can upload the information instantly, because the customer wants to track it online. So it's given today in technology when it comes to our business, that people want information instantly. So we're investing huge millions of dollars to make sure that that piece of information is given back to the consignee instantly, and he can access it.
Yeah. Because on your side of the business, that's what you can do. You're not on the retailer side to see the order coming in through mobile.
No, there is. No, I don't. For me, I don't see where it's coming from. But for me, I know an order comes into me. The faster it comes into me, the faster I can process.
Yeah. And mobile will speed it up on their side and on your side.
Of course.
What do you think of this, Fuad? Is there really a difference between mobile and desktop, or is it all internet ordering?
I think if you look at the mobile industries, especially mobile payments today, not just mobile e-commerce and having your shop online, I think there's a big challenge in actually getting people to add their credit cards onto a mobile app, even in the States.
People don't like to put their credit card on a touch screen?
It depends on the region, but I think in the States it's not a trust issue. People do trust certain sites and putting their credit cards online. Mobile is increasing there, but in the region, having to add your mobile, even within a mobile payments app today, it's a barrier to actually add a long 13, 14-digit number in there and actually have it saved in there.
People are less likely to put a credit card number into their mobile device. They're more likely to put that credit card number into their desktop for a psychological reason.
Yes, but that's the only barrier. Once they put it on the site, if it's Amazon, it's saved there in most cases, where most of the e-commerce then would happen on the mobile phone.
When they download the app, it's already there.
Exactly. So today, what I would predict personally is that in the region you'll see more reviews of sites and a lot of traffic coming from mobile, but most of the purchases might actually happen for a good portion of the time on larger devices, even a tablet or a PC, and then move to your mobile phone.
Yeah, that's your prediction. What do you think of this, Molly? The mobile thing, and from where you stand in Jamalon, what are you seeing?
That's definitely true. At Jamalon, we still don't have an app specifically, although we're hoping to launch one in
having an app is central to a mobile strategy.
It is. We do, however, have the website flexible on mobile phones, that you can open the website and buy it online. And without the app, and just with this flexibility in the website itself, 20% of our sales are made through a mobile device.
I see. 20% are through mobile devices.
It is. It's kind of unexpected.
Very good for the MENA region, isn't it?
It is. So it's a pretty high number, but I think it's very true that the trend continues to be that people are generally much more comfortable putting in credit card information and personal information, especially in a place where we have 80% of our sales cash on delivery. Payment online, there isn't just a lot of trust in it, even to this day. But at the same time, I think that an app creates a sense of trust. It makes something feel a little more secure.
An app makes a user feel more secure, more than the mobile web.
Exactly. So in that way, we're hoping to move towards that, to take advantage of the fact that we already have 20% of sales coming through mobile devices.
And it's only going to grow.
Harness that trend, exactly, so that we can create a more secure environment for customers to buy on smaller devices.
What do you think of that, Mohammed, the mobile strategy?
I think in general, there's a unified user across the different channels.
It's one user, really. It's one user with multiple devices.
Just pragmatically, if you look at your own behavior, at one point you're driving your car, your phone beeps, you grab it, you read the message. You shouldn't, but you do that, right? When you read the message, which is maybe a Marca VIP advertising email, you might even click on it and get to the product, right? you're in the funnel.
Then you park on the right
if you
and buy.
remember
I hope
it,
you
you
park.
go back maybe and purchase it later. At the end of the day, I speak about Citra Style, my conversion rate from mobile and tablets is twice the conversion rate from desktops.
Yeah, see, it's about it's not about also the volume, it's about the conversion rate itself.
It's about conversion
People who
rate.
actually use these devices are more likely to buy.
In terms of shares of
why
visit,
is that, Muhammad?
In terms of share of visit, we have 70% coming from mobile.
Do you have any idea why?
Yes.
Why a mobile
Yes,
user is more serious about
I
buying?
tell you why. Because the mobile is always next to you when you watch TV. And women sit, watch
second
TV
screen.
and have, exactly. You have the second screen aspect. So whenever they're in a chilled out mode, which is in TV, at home, on the sofa, you grab something and you consume. You consume news, you consume chats, you consume e-commerce as well. And I think this plays a significant role. And this is also without a app yet. With an app, I think this will increase even further.
Super. So also there's a focus on the importance of apps. So to wrap up, I'm going to give every one of our panelists an opportunity to give us like a general advice or a general prediction. Like, you can pick what you want. You can either advise entrepreneurs, roughly, but you gave a lot of advice. You can just maybe make it into a smaller packet. Or like a prediction on what you think will happen in e-commerce in your specific field in e-commerce necessarily. Let's start with you, Noor. What do you think is going to happen in specialized products like the musical instruments that you sell and other specialized products in the MENA region?
Yeah, well, before that, briefly. I want to comment on something that was
on the
said.
Skill set.
About how some startups or e-commerce businesses start to basically exit within a couple of years, and how that can actually harm the whole industry because customers are not being served in a good way, and that can make them actually more afraid of buying again online.
It can ruin it for everyone.
Exactly, it can ruin everything for everyone, and
so
this
that's
is
the thing you're afraid of. That's the thing you're worried about.
It's very essential that each one of us in every level, whether it's e-commerce startup or a service provider or governments or banks, all work together to provide this sort of environment that can help us all to grow. Because the limitations do not start with the customers, they start with the infrastructure. So we have to fix that first, and then we can give more trust to customers to buy more.
So if this were the prediction, it would be that if we don't fix these things, we won't see proper growth.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
All right. Okay.
But I'm very optimistic in terms of our growth next year.
We are entrepreneurs. We're by nature optimistic. Thank you, Noor. What do you think, Mo? Is your prediction for what's going to happen next, or what needs to happen next?
I think we need to see more people trying to start online stores, and what I'm seeing as a trend that
we need more stores.
Sorry.
More stores.
More options.
More stores that survive, because there are a lot of stores that come out in Egypt and come out and which then end in 2 months.
That's the point. It doesn't matter if you start something and it doesn't survive, then you start something again. What I'm seeing that a lot of people will spend significant amount of time trying to do what they think is best, and maybe spend all the budget doing the perfect online store from their eye. What I would do, I would go quickly and start my online store, learn about my client, then evolve. Yeah. Not about only bootstrapping, is to do it quickly. The beauty about online business, you can fix and evolve much faster than anything else.
So your advice is to go fast and start and fix as you go along.
Right.
Ship the product.
Right.
All right. What do you think, Muhammad? It's very confusing, Mo and Muhammad, huh?
No, it's not.
You are also Muhammad, right?
Muhannad.
Okay, so sorry, Muhannad and Muhammad. Faddal.
I have 3 things. The first thing is we need to feed the venture capital scene in a much better way in the Middle East. We need venture capital. So this is something that
there are a lot of VCs, and they all want to spend their money, and they're giving their money to people.
You have a big gap. You have a big gap in funding.
Still there's a big gap.
Yeah, you have a big gap. You get seed funding. The next levels are very difficult in the Middle East compared to other regions.
Series A and Series B.
Yes. The second thing, and that's, you need an incentivization structure that works. Part of it lies within the startup economy.
So maybe your advice to entrepreneurs is to plan for that further funding from day one.
Yes.
Okay.
The second thing is you need to restructure our educational system in all the countries across the Middle East.
Okay.
Period. And the third thing is you need to get young people, you need to develop some sort of an internship program, maybe within a few renowned startups, big startups that can afford that. Let's say Souk, which is not a startup anymore. Let's say the Marka VIPs, the Sukkars, the Namshis, etc. BP. You need to host people
for a month.
Yeah, for a month or 2 months to
really show
them real life.
Show them that it's tough, and that they have to really work hard, and that they can't complain about their position or their title or the things you were talking about.
Exactly. And when you do that, then I think the potential that we have can be unleashed.
That's great advice from our panel so far. Let's move on to Molly.
I absolutely agree with everything you said. I think a lot of answers lie in the education system. At Gemelo now, we're actually in an exciting time of a lot of growth, and I'm confident that...
and you're hosting entrepreneurs, you said, to teach them inside the Gemelo structure.
Yes, we are. We're also raising our Series A of $5 million at this point in time.
Excellent.
And I think beyond that, Noor mentioned the infrastructural problems, and I think on some level it's kind of on those companies that have moved past the initial stages of being a startup to help work on those infrastructural problems. So for example, at Gemelon, we not only see our role as breaking down barriers to the sharing of knowledge and reading in the region, but also to continue to do that beyond just creating this platform for buying online, and that means translation platforms so that people can have access across languages, and even printing on demand so that some authors that don't have the opportunities to get their works in a large-scale market can have the opportunity to do so through something like
Maybe
Gemelo.
then one of the things we need to all advise users and people involved is that they should all get involved. Our customers are driving all of this, right?
Absolutely.
They give us the feedback. We need the Arab public to be much more involved, to tell us what to build next, because you're building for them.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Fuad.
For me, I agree with what's been said, obviously, but also I believe that, just looking at the evolution of the market as a whole, can you hear me? So looking at the evolution of the market as a whole, I think it's inevitable for us to see the foreign larger merchants to start taking notice of the Middle East. Today,
you're worried that Amazon or let's say eBay will have
larger players,
eBay will either acquire Souk or have eBay Arabia. So
who knows?
I think Souk are depending on that. Maybe.
Right, but when you look at the region, I think we live in a very unsexy region today in terms of logistics.
We're not attractive enough.
No, not really, because you have different laws in every single country.
So we have different laws in every single country, different customs, prohibitions and things of that nature. I think trying to actually erase these borders between our countries for e-commerce companies, whether we're inside the region or outside of the region, and having some sort of consortium or shared data or consolidation of data between these e-commerce companies really add a lot of value to all of us.
Maybe consolidation of multiple stores together.
It could be. I mean, Rocket Internet in the region
is
doing
that a prediction for ad?
For me, this is what I'm seeing is that obviously it's happening in the content scene as well. Before when Yahoo came and acquired YouTube, obviously they realized that there's a big high growth opportunity in the Middle East, and they came in to go after that. I think the same thing will happen with these players, with commerce naturally in the e-commerce region.
Lovely. Okay. Yeah. By the way, this panel started 25 minutes late, so we're on time. 11:20 will be done. We might save some time and not do a Q&A. We might help the organizers because they need to get back on schedule. So if you have any questions, you can ask the panelists.
Yeah, we have a question over here.
No, just one question. We'll take one question, but first let Iyad.
Okay.
And I'll be quick. I think fourth
Iyad's prediction, then one question, and that's it. Because I need to help the organizers, get back on schedule. Well, they gave me a speech about it, so.
Number one, regional, international players are definitely going to come to the markets. Not necessarily you're going to see probably an Amazon or an Alibaba physically being here. But I think my prediction here is that first of all, they have to see that this region is attractive or not. I don't know if they see it attractive or not, but if they consider this as a scenario, what happens if these large e-tailers in the West start selling COD to this market? Okay? So this is something that we have to ask ourselves on.
If they start selling COD?
Cash on delivery.
Yeah,
so what if the big e-tailers out there say, you know what, I don't want to invest in the region, but I want to open up COD, which is 80% of the market. So this is something that I think we need to...
How will it affect us? Negatively, positively? What will it do?
Well, I have
it will hit the entrepreneurs, the local entrepreneurs in the region?
No, this is, becomes, because if you want to go and compete with Amazon or with Alibaba, these are marketplaces. The products that there's
bidding,
it's almost going to be impossible to have the variety that these companies have.
I see.
So what do you do in that case? This opens up another prediction that I believe in, and this is where I think what Muhammad is doing is excellent, which is specialization. So this is if you're not able to compete on the broad range of things, what you do is you specialize in certain products and you master. That's a niche for you, and you select your customers and the markets that you want to promote.
We have three product specialists on our panel. And we have a platform specialist and a payment specialist.
If you look at actually the panelists here, all of them are specialists, with the exception probably of Fuad here. And then four specialists in terms of products I'm talking about.
You can ask about that later.
Third thing I think is a final thing. My advice to e-commerce is that the first thing you need to think of is not what you want to sell.
The first thing, selling is very important, I agree. But please, I beg you to think of logistics. The biggest challenges that I see is that the last thing that e-commerce comes and thinks of and talk to us about is after they finished 80% of what they want to do and sell. The logistics is the most important.
How can we deliver the product?
Exactly, and if you have the
what
best
if it's
product on earth, if you can't deliver it,
if it can't travel, if it can't...
Exactly, so just think of logistics the first thing.
Think logistics first. The message from Aramex. All right, so we'll take that one question. I asked for help for someone to deliver the mic, but that's okay, I'll do it myself. No problem. Yeah. Okay. Okay, introduce yourself, determine to which panelist you're sending questions.
Amar Jabari, Senior Research and Financial Analyst at the Arab Advice Group. So my question is for everyone, specifically those who own a portal, e-commerce portal. Why haven't we seen any e-commerce portal list on the Amman Stock Exchange? That's the first part of the question.
Based on what, sorry, come again?
Why haven't we seen any e-commerce portal list on the Amman Stock Exchange?
Listed on Amman Stock Exchange. Yeah. You mean why has it IPO'd,
do an IPO
on the ASE? Okay.
Okay. The second part of the question is, do you think the investors on the Amman Stock Exchange are sophisticated enough to invest at an e-commerce portal? Thank you.
Interesting. Okay, so is anybody here qualified in the financial sector to answer this question or give us a general idea why we haven't? Because this is a VC style question that maybe is more suited for a VC panel, but I'm sure our resident serial entrepreneur can help. تفضل محمد.
I think the question...
عليك القصة أنا.
Don't worry. I think the question you have to ask is, why would you go on a stock exchange? The second question you would have to ask is, which stock exchange do you select for your company? Now, going on a stock exchange in general is fundraising.
To raise money.
Right? To raise money. Who in the Middle East is at a stage where it makes sense, in the e-commerce scene, is at a stage where it makes sense to float basically a certain amount of shares on a stock exchange to raise amounts of money at a valuation that is reasonable? Okay. I think there's only one company in the Middle East so far, which is Souk.com.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
now,
they have
if you look at the history of Souk, if you look at the history of Souk, Souk has been around for 5-6 years at a level which was like that. Then Souk got injections of multi-$100 million and Souk exploded. Yeah. And that's the only, if you look at this
they're the only ones who can show proper revenue for traditional investors, because there's a difference between venture capital funding and typical banker style funding. Exactly. The bankers, they want like Fadi Ghandour keeps on telling us, they want to buy buildings, they want to buy lands, they want to put money into the land, they don't want to put money into the entrepreneurs. And the problem is the stock exchanges are ruled by these types of mentality.
Plus, no company in the Middle East is even close to profitability at a scale that is reasonable.
Yeah.
Right? You have the small companies at a 2 million revenue, monthly revenue that can become profitable very quickly. Okay. Smaller companies, mom and pop shops, etc., can become profitable quickly. But at a 50 to 70 million monthly revenue, becoming profitable is a challenge in the Middle East.
Okay.
Again, because you import from gray markets rather than sourcing your products locally.
All right. So, second part, what was it?
Can you repeat that again? In the Middle East, whether the investors are sophisticated enough or global investors?
No, I think in the Middle East, I think we're talking about
Wajih, do we have time for another question? No. I don't think so, unfortunately.
I think if it's very quick, or because we're going to cancel the coffee break, so we're going to go straight into the session. Okay. But I'd rather wrap up so that we can stay on time.
Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you what. Okay. Anybody who has a question, these ladies and gentlemen are here. Please feel free to give them your business card and have a chat with them. I'm going to now thank them. Sorry, sir, there's a gentleman behind over there who wanted to ask a question, but it's not possible. I'm really sorry. So, let me thank you one by one. First of all, I want to thank Noor Faiz, founder of Fiche. I hope to buy my next piano from there, hopefully. Thank you, Muhannad Ghashim, for giving people the groundwork to do the e-commerce business in the Middle East. I'll be talking to you about my e-commerce academy venture. Thank you, Muhammad Shabib, for contributing to commerce in the region on multiple levels, okay, and for your opinions today. Thank you, Molly Bernstein, for believing in the Middle East enough to move here, and just keep building. Thanks, Fuad. Fuad Julius is also a serial entrepreneur for solving a cash problem. I hope you make good money on that and you actually solve the problem fully, inshallah. And thanks, Iyad, for being part of Aramex for a long time to solve this whole problem and trying to create the infrastructure. I hope Aramex also can build its growth on the growth of e-commerce in the Arab world. So let's all give a hand to our panelists. Thank you very much. And thank you for the heroes who stuck around to the end. Wallah, bravo.
pleasure.